Climbing the ladder in Master Duel is not easy. It takes a lot of skill with whatever chosen deck you've got and a bit of the right meta for whatever deck you want to play. Some would say you have to be merciless to climb. Let's see if we can climb this ladder. Hello folks, I'm the Ghost with Knife and welcome back to more Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Just a quick forward, I apologize if I'm doing a lot of coughing. I'm trying to edit it out as much as I can. I still have a really bad cough from bronchitis, and the medicine I'm taking isn't really helping, so bear with me please. Anyways, the subject of today's video is climbing the ladder in Master Duel. As many of you know, I take Yu-Gi-Oh! Very casually, so I haven't really taken my climb seriously. And I've been looking at a few decks that I really like that I think I can actually get up the ladder with if I try my hardest. I thought I was going to be doing it with Shining Sarcophagus, but after playing Goblin Bikers, I love this deck. I think this is one of the coolest decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's right up my alley with all the XYZ monsters. Sorry about that. It's right up my alley with all the really cool XYZ plays you can do with Gabonka and the XYZ armor stuff. And honestly, I just really like this deck. And I'm really close to hitting Platinum 1, which I know isn't the biggest achievement for most people. But for me, it will be the farthest I have ever gone on the ladder. So without further ado, let's see if I can finally hit Platinum 1 with Goblin Bikers. Alright folks, getting into our first game. I am roughly Platinum 3 going into this game, and we are going first, which is awesome. We're going to start with Mean Merciless, and then going to the Psychic Tracker. From there, we're going to go ahead and go into the Big Gabonga, the best card in the deck. We're going to use this to try to grab another Goblin Biker card. Our opponent is going to Ash Blossom us, and I'm just going to go ahead and call by that. Get out of here, little girl. No one likes you. So I can go ahead and try to extend my plays. Hopefully that is all my opponent really has to do in response to my Goblin Biker nonsense. We're going to get Doug Charger. Doug's going to come out, and our opponent's going to Max C, and at this rate I'm like, crap. I hate this stupid bug. We're going to go ahead and use the Doug to go ahead and special summon itself. We're going to use it to try to grab something from our deck, and our opponent is going to Imperm our Gabonga, or our Doug Charger anyways, stopping our plays. So I'm like, alright, fine, whatever. I'm going to use the Big Gabonga to go into the XYZ armor plays to try and flip it and reverse it, excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and grab the armor XYZ and the full armor XYZ from my deck, set it, and pass. So the game plan here is to use my one scoop with the Dark Ray as best as possible. We're going to go ahead and activate the full armor XYZ to go into the Dark Knight Lancer. On our opponent's turn, they're going to go straight to battle phase. They're going to evenly match us. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of Doug, and they're going to try to use Dianea. From here, I'm going to go ahead and just use full armor Dark Knight Lancer to scoop up their cards, stopping their Sarah play, because that's what Trap Tricks do. And our opponent scoops it up. They're like, without Sarah, I can't do anything, and you'll OTK me, which I would have most likely tried to do. Alright, moving further along down the line into our next game here. We've got somebody with another Trap Tricks board, which does not bode well, and my opponent, of course, plays this stupid Roach. I'm going to go ahead and try to start off with the Goblin Biker Grand Entrance to grab Doug. Doug is going to go ahead and grab the Grand Bash so I can get an extra normal summon off with Clatter Exploder so I can make my plays. We're going to go and do that. Going into everybody's favorite, Big Gabonga. God, I love this card so much. We're going to go ahead and add a Boommock to our hand here. I'm trying my best to play under Max C, so I'm going to go ahead and play the Grand Pileup and the Infinite Permanence. I've only given them one card. Excuse me. I've only given them one card from my XYZ summon with Big Gabonga. I am hoping that Infinite Impermanence and Boommock is just enough. Our opponent does go ahead and Imperm our Big Gabonga, which does kinda suck, but it's whatever. I can play through this. Our opponent is on Shining Sarcophagus, which is pretty sick. I do love this deck pretty much. They try to Infinite Impermanence Gabonga again. I'm going to go ahead and use the Goblin Biker Grand Pileup, and I'm going to do something kind of wacky. We're going to use the Big Gabonga to summon another big Gabonga, which I didn't know I could do with this until this point in time. To go ahead and put the material on there so they can't imperm this big Gabonga. I can go ahead and add a Goblin card to my hand. They're going to Ash Blossom this yet again, thwarting everything I want to do. 2 imperms, Ash and Maxi. My opponent's going to try to activate Gadget Trio. I'm using Infinite Permanence here. Excuse me. Go ahead and negate their nonsense. I'm trying really hard to mute between these, I'm sorry folks, and our opponent just scoops it up, because without their stupid Shining Sarcophagus, they can't do anything. So yeah, that's how you play through like 17 hand traps with Goblin Bikers. Now, I'm not going to lie to you folks, going into this, I'm on a bit of a losing streak, and I'm not too happy with my hand going first, so we're just going to try to do what we can to make some plays. I'm going to go ahead and use the Grand Entrance to grab the Doug Charger. Doug Charger's going to grab Grand Bash, so I can try to make some more plays here, so I can try to get the extra normal, and do some nonsense, and say it with me folks, 2 words, Big Gabonga! Big Gabonga's going to go ahead and grab the Mean Merciless, which I'm going to use with the Grand Bash to get a 3rd summon off. So we're going to use Mean Merciless to special summon Boom Mock, using Boom Mock and Mean Merciless to go into our XYZ armor stuff. Darn right, so we're just going to go ahead and fast forward. You know what happens next. We draw a card, go into the Armor Fortress. Armor Fortress gets us the trap. From here we go into Dark Knight Lancer. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle back the Armor Torpedo. Now, I did just make a mistake here. It had been a minute since I'd played this combo, and I was kind of on autopilot, so I put back the Armor Torpedo, which is the wrong thing to do. Entirely. I should have recycled the Armor Fortress that's underneath this thing, but I forgot to detach it so I could shuffle it back. So yeah, a little bit of a mistake, but it's okay. We're going to go ahead and use Mean Merciless to bring itself back. And then I'm going to go ahead and make another huge misplay. And I'm going to go ahead and attach it to Big Gabonga because I'm bad at the card game. And this is when I started panicking. I tried to put Doug back in my hand thinking it would do something. I'm going to go ahead and use Doug to special summon itself, so I can have a few more materials. We link into IP, and I end on what can only be described as an absolute disaster of a board. I don't even set called by, I am so panicked by my gigantic misplays. Our opponent is going to Harpy's Feather Duster, which, weirdly enough, doesn't really bother me. Then they're going to go into... Oh my god, it's branded. We're going to use the full armor XYZ here. Go ahead and scoop up their monster, try to stop their plays as much as I can. I hate this deck. With a bash, as you can't tell. I'm going to attach it underneath the Dark Knight Armored Lancer. They're going to go ahead and play Branded Lost and Branded Fusion, so I can't do anything in response. They're going to go ahead and use Fallen of Albaz and the Bestial Rebellion to summon Albion. Yeah, your combo's stupid and it sucks and no one likes you. And then they're going to go ahead and summon Magnuma 2, because why not? I'm looking for a moment to try to interact between Albion's nonsense here, just to try to make this play as powerful as possible. Our opponent's going to summon Lubellion, this Searing, whatever this thing's name is. Searing Dragon, that's a stupid name. They're going to go and use Magnamut and Lubellion's effect. And I'm still trying to activate my Goblin Biker Boom Mock from the grave. I did kind of forget how it works, but for some reason, in response to IP, I still couldn't do it. So I'm going to use IP and Dark Knight Lancer to summon Little Knight. The goal here is to banish Lubellion so they can't use this material, but by then, it's just too late. My opponent does in fact get to Mirror Jade, and at this rate, I'm going to have to banish Mirror Jade to do anything. They're going to go ahead and try to banish both of my cards, and in response, I'm going to go and use Little Knight to banish both Gabonga and herself, so that way they can't get rid of my cards permanently. So this will temporarily get rid of my cards, causing them to banish their card, and then I banish their other card, because Mirror Jade is a must for that when you activate that banish. My opponent's going to shuffle some nonsense back. They're going to set some more cards, and they draw off of whatever, and they don't get to pop my board with Mirror Jade, so Gabonga and Little Knight comes out. Gabonga gets special summoned. My opponent is going to Truist Worm. my IP Masquerena. Weird play, but whatever. I'm going to go and use Gabonga to put something underneath it so I can try to scoop up that Druid Worm and finish off my opponent here. We do draw the Nibiru, which doesn't do much. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Grand Entrance. My opponent is going to try and special summon some nonsense. I'm going to use Boom Mock here in response. The idea is that now I've detached something off of Big Gabonga, so they can't do some nonsense. They're going to go ahead and get Guiding Quem, which is kind of terrifying. I'm going to use Gabonga to put Quem underneath it. So that way they can't really have access to more of their fusion nonsense. We're going to go ahead and put the Quem underneath Gabonga. We're going to go ahead and use Mean Merciless to detach off of Gabonga, bring back itself, use Boom Mock and that to go back into the XYZ Armor Torpedo. And I'm going to make another gigantic mistake because I forgot that I still haven't recycled this. And I can't recycle the Armor Fortress without the Dark Knight Lancer. And I'm going to detach all my materials off this Armor Torpedo, which means that it can no longer attack. So yeah, I'm kind of having a bad day. I'm going to go ahead and summon the Clatter Floater, which brings back the Doug Charger, which goes ahead and puts the Grand Pile up into my hand. We're going to use Big Gabonga to destroy their monster. They're going to go ahead and send my Armor Torpedo to grave. You know, I might have made quite a few mistakes in this game, but that was a pretty big mistake, as my opponent starts getting wailed off by my goblins and SP Little Knights. Now, on their turn, I have access to Gabonga's Scoop, Cicada King Negate, and an SP Little Knight Banish. We're going to go ahead and put another card under Gabonga. So I can use Clatter's Floater, or my bad, is Clatter in my grave? Yeah, I can use Clatter on their turn to special summon itself and another monster, scoop up whatever they summon, and then just go for game, and our branded opponent scoops it up. Alright, here we are going second. We are still roughly in Plat 2. I'm getting so close, but it's a back and forth climb on this ladder. My opponent summons Arise Heart. I'm playing Kashtira again. I'm going to go ahead and Ash Blossom their Kashtira Theosis so I can try to stop them from making any more plays. Our opponent's going to banish a card from the top of their deck, banishing 3 of my cards, which is going to be nothing of a real consequence, but it does kind of hurt. It's a few starters. We use Clatter's Floaters. The normal summon on my opponent's going to Max Z, because of course they're going to. And at this rate, I'm like, screw it. I'm going to play with the Max Z. I don't care. I hate this stupid bug. And they just won't draw an answer. So we're going to go ahead and summon the Big Gabonga. Going to go ahead and add a Goblin card to our hand as our opponent uses Ash Blossom. Oh boy, I hate that stupid roach. We're going to try to use the Grand Entrance to grab Boom Mock so we can make some plays. Use the Grand Entrance's effect to special summon Boom Mock. We're going to use Big Gabonga, scoop up the Arise Heart. We're going to use the Grand Entrance to try and shuffle something back into my hand. My opponent is going to Mulch Army here, because of course, why wouldn't they have both versions of Maxi? We're going to go and detach, put the Clatter Floater back in hand, and then from here I'm just going to attack, because I don't really want my opponent to keep drawing cards. But from here I'm going to get one more summon off. We're going to use Gabonga to go into Zeus. This is my last real form of interaction. On my turn, I've got some follow-up with Clatter's Floater, hopefully with Grand Entrance. My opponent is going to play the Pressured Planet Race Off, grab their Unicorn, and in response to Unicorn being summoned, I'm just going to Zeus. Before they can search, do anything like that. Our opponent does summon Scareclaw Kashtira, which sucks a lot, but it's okay. Our opponent's going to go into Typhon, which is pretty terrifying, actually. They're going to go ahead and shuffle back my Zeus, which is not the worst thing to happen, but it is still pretty bad. Our opponent's going to set a card and pass. This game against Cash is a fight, but I do grab my other Terror Top, which we're going to use to grab a card, and our opponent, of course, has another freaking Max Z. God, I hate this metagame. I want Max Z banned so bad. We're going to use Takatom Board and Terror Top to go back into Big Gabonga. Use Gabonga to try to get some extension here. And from here, I'm just going to try to play through my opponent's Max Z the best I can. My opponent is going to Called by Boom Mock, which sucks because I really need that summon. But thankfully, I still have a Big Gabonga in grave I can use for some material. We're going to go ahead and grab the Doug Charger off of Big Gabonga. We're going to normal summon Doug Charger to grab the Grand Bash so I can get my extra normal off. So I can normal the Clatter's Floater and make some more plays. We're going to go ahead and use the Grand Entrance's effect to summon Clatter's Floater, because I'm just not reading my cards. And I thought I had a Goblin in Gray, but whatever, it's fine. Our opponent summons their Scareclaw Kashtira, shuffles Unicorn back into their hand. We're going to use the Grand Bash to normal summon Mean Merciless. They protect themselves, or at least they try to, and then from here I'm just going to attack. And we do swing for game, and we beat the stupid Kashtira player. God, I hate this deck, and it is so satisfying to beat every time. Alright, so we're still in Plat 2. We are finally edging our way back on the totem pole, getting closer to Platinum 1. Our opponent's going first. No. 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 No, 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 no. I don't care if it's Red Eyes. I do not want to see Dragoon. We're going to Ash Blossom this and hope that's just enough. As our opponent is going to get their Insight Ash so they can't make any more plays. They bricked up because they're playing Red Eyes, and that's just what Red Eye does. They do set 2, though. So I'm going to go ahead and use E-Telly to grab the Psychic Tracker. I'm going to special summon the Wielder with its effect to go into my boss monster. Red Eyes beat the real Red-Eyed legend, Big Kabonga, who's got red eyes. Red Eyes, Black Kabonga. Anyways, we're going to use Doug Charger's effect to special summon itself, grab the Grand Bash. I've got the entrance already in hand, so I'm going to go ahead and use that to make an extension play. Special summon Boom Mock. Use both Doug Charger and Boom Mock into the Armor Torpedo. You've seen this before. Draw into an E-Telly, which I could use, but it just doesn't register to me. We're going to use the Armor Fortress, grab the Full Armor XYZ for follow-up in case I need it, go into the Dark Knight Lancer, bring back the Boom Mock, use the Grand Bash to bring back to normal summon Clatter so I can bring back the Doug so I can make more plays. And from here I'm pretty happy. I've just got a lot of monsters. I could have gotten greedy and gone into a Shuriken, so I just decided to start attacking, and my opponent gets stomped. Get out of here with that Dragoon nonsense. We all know the best Red Eyes monster is Big Kabonga. And at this point, folks, I am 2 wins away from my first ever time getting to Platinum 1. Like I said earlier, it might not be a big accomplishment for some people, but it's the furthest I've ever gotten. And if I can hit this, I can finally hit that benchmark. And the next month, hopefully, I can get to Diamond, which is my next goal, if we can get there today. Our opponent has a U-Bell sleeves and a Lady Labyrinth profile picture, which makes me nervous, but whatever, we're going first. We got a weird hand, but it's okay. We're going to use Terror Top here. Baiting an Ash does not work. We're going to use Tucker Tomborg and the Terror Tops to go into Big Kabonga. If this gets ashed, it'll be a bit rough, but not the worst thing ever. We're going to go and use Big Kabonga. It does get ashed. They do properly ash us here, which sucks, but whatever. We do have Doug Charger already in hand, so we're going to go ahead and activate it to ditch something off of Big Kabonga to go into our Grand Entrance. Use the Grand Entrance to ditch another card to grab Mean Merciless. Special Mean Merciless for a little bit more material. We're going to go in special Boom Mock. You've seen it from what happens next, folks. XYZ Torpedo grabs this Tour Guide, which is incredible for extension. Armor Fortress, grab the Trap. Dark Knight Lancer. Boom Mock to get rid of the Armor Fortress from underneath Lancer. Shuffle it back into our extra deck so I can use the full armor XYZ. We're going to go ahead and go into the IP Masquerena so we can go into Little Knight on their turn. We're going to use Clatter's Floater and Mean Merciless to summon Cicada King, which gives me a board full of interaction. Detach off Cicada King, bring back the Doug Charger, which I think was a mistake, but I wanted some follow-up, so I'm going to go ahead and put another Boom Mock underneath Kabonga. And we have a pretty nasty board. We have 2 scoops with Dark Knight and Big Kabonga. We have an Infinite Impermanence and a Cicada King for some negations, and an IP Masquerena to banish something. Sorry, my voice failed there for a second. Let's see what our opponent can do in response to our kind of crazy board. They're going to go with Dark Beckoning Beast. I'm going to let it slide. I don't really care about that nonsense. Into the Nightmare Throne, which kinda sucks. We're playing Yubel. I'm historically pretty bad in this matchup. They're going to go ahead and grab the Lotus. They're going to use the Spirit Gates to grab the other Summoning Beast. Okay, sure, why not? They shuffle 2 cards back to summon the Phantom of Yubel. And my plan here is to try and force this negation so I can negate it with Cicada King. We're going to go ahead and use the Imperm on Phantom of Yubel. Our opponent is going to cross out Designator and respond some to Clatter's Floater onto the Goblin Bikers, so I can try to scoop up the Phantom of Yubel here. So Clatter's Floater comes back. It's effectively activated, giving us a special summon, and so will Bikers. They're going to try to negate this. And it does leave the field, so I can't Cicada King it, which sucks, but whatever. I'm going to go ahead and use the full armor at XYZ, so I can go ahead and try and special summon on top of Bikers. My opponent is going to Max C here. I'm going to IP Masquerena just so I give them as few cards as possible. We're going to use Clatter's Floater and Masquerena to go to the Little Knight. And I'm going to do kind of a weird play when Little Knight's summoned, because I don't really know what I can banish to like protect myself. We're going to go into the Armor Fortress, which does still proc their Yubel nonsense. I'm going to go ahead and use Little Knight. And because they can special summon anything from Banished with the Spirit of Yubel as well, I decide, or the Phantom. Yeah, the Phantom says you can grab anything from Banish, I believe. One of these cards said something about being banished. Yeah. Spirit of Yubel, you can special summon a Yubel that is banished or in your hand. So I'm like, there's no point using the Little Knight on something in there. So I'm gonna banish the Nightmare Throne, hoping it gives us enough disruptions so they can't continue to play the game. We're going to use a Little Knight, banish the Nightmare Throne, which does look weird, but whatever, they're going to summon a Yubel. From here, I'm going to use full armor at XYZ to go ahead and scoop up their Yubel onto my Dark Knight Lancer. My opponent's going to get their extra normal off with the Dark Beckoning Beast. They're going to use Samsara Lotus, which I still can't negate with Cicada King. Whatever, it's fine. My opponent is going to try to grab a spell or trap. From here, I can finally use my Cicada King to negate their Spirit of Yubel's effects, so they still can't use it. And they can't swing off of it either. My opponent is going to link off the Beast and Yubel for Verte Anaconda. That just sucks. So that Dragoon that I stopped last game, came back, and he's pissed. This Dragoon is going to go ahead and start doing some nonsense. They're going to destroy a card. I'm going to banish both Dark Knight Lancer and SP Little Knight to protect them. Our opponent is going to use Dragoon's effect, discard a card, and pop my Dark Knight Lancer anyways, or they negate the SP Little Knight. From here, the Dragoon's going to try to pop Lancer, but it's protected by its equipped monster, and then it gets popped, and I'm in a really rough position from this point. But it's okay, because I've got a lot of follow-up, and my opponent has virtually no answers. They can't negate anything because they don't have any more cards. We're going to use Tour Guide to grab Mean Merciless. Mean Merciless can't activate off a Tour Guide. It's fine. It's whatever. We're going to go into our boss monster one more time. Bigabonga. Bigabonga is going to go ahead and grab a monster from our deck. We're going to use Boom Mock and Response for the chain, so I can go ahead and get the material off and suck up this Dragoon. Or at least I'm going to try to. It can't be targeted, so I'm like, okay. Whatever. We're going to suck up the Verte Anacondas. We're going to try to OTK my opponent here at least. We're going to use Doug, getting rid of the Tour Guide, grabbing our Grand Bash, and now you might be able to see what my play here is. I'm going to try and use Mean Merciless to special summon itself, use the Grand Bash, make all of my monsters bigger than Dragoon. We're going to equip the Bigabonga with the Dark Knight Lancer to give it a little bit more attack. And our opponent sees the writing on the wall. Dragoon and Yubel are not enough to stop the ride. Folks, this is it. This is the last game to Platinum 1. If we win this, I have officially hit the highest rank I have ever hit in Master Duel. Who is my opponent as they're going first? Son of a bitch. It's Lab. I'm not gonna lie, folks. I wanted to leave this game. I have had historically bad luck against Labyrinth all of my Master Duel career. And I wanted to win this so badly. So I looked my Labyrinth opponent in the eyes, and even though I was gonna quit, I grabbed them by the collar of their shirt, and I said, "You're on! Let's show Labyrinth how this is done." We go ahead and draw into a reinforcement. They're gonna go ahead and use their big welcome to get their big, stupid lesbians off the Labyrinth. They're gonna use Lady to set a trap track. Whatever, who cares? They're gonna go ahead and use the big welcome to summon Lovely. Yeah, big lesbians, we get it. Big lesbian demon women. They're gonna go ahead and pop one of our cards in hand, which isn't the worst thing, because if they pop Boommock, we can try to bring it back. We've got a lot of cards in hand. The chances of them hitting something important is not that big. They go ahead and pop a reinforcement. We don't care. We're gonna use Terror Top. Our opponent's gonna max C. Not this time, you stupid roach. Now, I do make a pretty big misplay, because if that's Imperm, then this doesn't work. I should have put it in this zone. This was a misclick, so yeah. Excuse me. Moral of the story is, don't play into Imperm. We're gonna call by the stupid Max C. Our opponent is gonna use the Welcome Labyrinth to get another monster from their deck to try and do silly nonsense against me. I'm gonna go ahead and call by this little guy out of here. And the next series of events is going to absolutely blow your mind. Because I learned something in this duel. As we use the speedroids, my bad, speedboard, whatever they're called, to go into Big Gabonga here. Now we're gonna make an absolutely wacky series of plays here. You're gonna learn something today about Big Gabonga and XYZ monsters. We're gonna use Big Gabonga, grab the Doug Charger. We're gonna use Doug Charger's effect, and my opponent is going to Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. Now, I understand why they're doing this. If they put my XYZ monster down, that means I can't detach off of it, because I can't see what the card is, right? Our opponent Daruma Karma Cannons us, which sucks. But as you can see, I still got rid of material off this monster. So apparently, I can still see that this is an XYZ monster. And I can still take materials off of it. Meaning I can extend. Grand Entrance, please. Grabbing the Clatter's Floater. Using Grand Entrance to detach off of the face down Gabonga to summon me Merciless, to summon a Boommock, which goes as, let's just go into our Grand Bash. I'm not going to swing because I don't have enough attack to go through all their big scary defensive demon women. We're going to use the Armor Torpedo. Draw a card. Giving us even more extension, because why not? I'm going to go into the Armor Fortress. Detach off Armor Fortress, grabbing the spell, because I'm going to try to go for game here. I'm going to use the Armor Fortress this time to go into the Dark Knight Lancer, as we've done so many times. And our opponent sees that we can just keep extending and keep playing, and they scoop it up. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I finally hit Platinum 1. And there it is, folks. Finally, after months of playing the game, practicing various different decks, and learning the metagame, I finally hit my next goal in Master Duel, and I reached Platinum 1 on the ladder. And I could not be prouder of this achievement. There's a lot of things I want to try to get here. I was thinking True Draco, Shining Sarcophagus, but something feels right that the Gabonga deck was the one to get us here. As many of you know, I love XYZ decks. I think they're super cool. I love the mechanic. I love the art and the background on all these crazy cards. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty happy getting to Platinum 1 with an XYZ deck. Especially one that's kind of a bit of a meme, if you will. So, yeah, I don't really have much more to say. I did it. I achieved my goal, and I cannot wait to try next season, or next month, to get into Diamond, finally. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed these games, folks. I hope you learned something. And next month, we're getting to Diamond. Now get the hell out of here.